There's a new trend on social media tonight, hashtag where is Justin Trudeau? It's not a rhetorical question, it's not funded by Canada's opposition either. It's a genuine query of ordinary Canadians. Where is their Prime Minister? Unfortunately, nobody knows. Trudeau says he has contracted the Wuhan virus, but no one knows where he's isolating. Normally, he would be in his Ottawa office on Mondays. Today, he wasn't. He and his family were moved to an undisclosed location. In other words, he fled.
And he's been caught here in a trap of his own devices, where he has no idea how to lead his country through what is ostensibly a peaceful protest by people who have a legitimate cause. I don't necessarily agree with a lot of what they're saying, but I absolutely defend to the death their right to protest in the way that they've been doing. And I think that Trudeau, by bringing emergency powers and having the police rounding them all up like it's some, fascist state, this is what I'm talking about. This is a form of fascism going on. And yet he would profess to be the most liberal guy you'd ever meet in your life.
And so what Trudeau has done in the last 24 hours is to invoke the Emergency Act. It was a piece of legislation originally brought in during the war, updated in the 1980s, and it gives considerable powers. Indeed, Trudeau's deputy has said they now intend to freeze truckers' personal and corporate bank accounts, suspend the insurance on their trucks and tow their vehicles away. So the Canadian government getting very, very heavy, and I just begin to think maybe this is a sign of them losing. Now,
Mr. Trudeau, you are a disgrace for any democracy. Please spare us your presence. Then again, a prime minister who openly admires the Chinese basic dictatorship, who tramples on fundamental rights by persecuting and criminalizing his own citizens as terrorists just because they dared to stand up to his perverted concept of democracy, should not be allowed to speak in this House at all.
This angers me.
Does it?
This actually really angers me.
Does it involve TV?
No. Well, it does. It involves someone going on television and talking the biggest load of claptrap I've ever heard in my life. And that is, of course, the pretty boy himself. He's got a foppish head who looks like Hugh Grant. It is Justin Trudeau.
Oh, yes.
The Canadian
He's
Prime
here,
Minister.
isn't he?
He did a press conference with Mr. Viral himself,
What's he doing
Boris
here,
Johnson.
by the way?
Oh, he went to meet the Queen, do a little visit. Surprised he didn't freeze her bank account and have a go at her for protesting, because he gave this great long diatribe today against Putin, saying that he wants respect for sovereignty, he wants to have democracy stood for, he wants to stay true to these values, he wants to fight for that all over the world. This was a man that basically froze the bank accounts of truckers, decided that he was going to forcibly round them up. He took tactics directly out of the rule book of Vladimir Putin to deal with his own people, and then he has the audacity and the lack of self-awareness to stand at a podium and tell us that he wants to fight for sovereignty and democracy. He's a hypocrite, he has a neck made of brass, and he's a moron.
The past 3 weeks have been a whirlwind in Canada. Much has happened, which ultimately resulted in the Canadian government under Justin Trudeau to take draconian measures and implement a nationwide emergency, which gave the authorities excessive powers against Canada's Freedom Convoy protesters. Some of the most shocking visuals have come in of the protests and police brutality. An elderly woman was trampled by cops on horses at a protest site. The video went viral on social media, and anybody who sees the video can tell it's just simply wrong.
Thank you so much.
What is Justin Trudeau up to? He's the Prime Minister of Canada. His job is to create consensus. If truckers are resisting him, he must reach out to them. Instead, Trudeau fled. Is he in a war bunker? Is he getting a haircut? Is he rethinking the vaccine mandate? Nobody knows.
He also branded them racist and misogynist, didn't he?
did.
And when a Conservative MP stood up and said, like, you can't say that, you can't slander them that way, he said, well, maybe you might be happy to stand with swastikas and Confederate flags, but I'm not. She was a Jewish MP. Anyway, says, you know, the one country that Trudeau has admitted to really admiring?
Oh, yeah. China.
China.
Yeah.